Far-left squad member Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez weighing in on her future, her political future and presidential ambitions as GQ's newest cover girl.
Another reason to get GQ, I guess. The progressive congresswoman claiming she won't go on to run the country because, quote, "My experience here has given me a front row seat to how deeply and unconsciously and as well as consciously so many people in this country hate women." She really loves this, doesn't it?
Then she bemoaned her job in Congress, saying, imagine working a job and your bosses don't like you and folks on your team are suspicious of you. And then the competing company is trying to kill you.
What?
So we have set up a conversation for our buddy at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Tucker Carlson, who joins us right now. You know what, Tucker? AOC's got a lot to say.
They're trying to kill me. They hate me. They just don't like women. Really? Who hates women? I've never met anyone who hates women.
Not yet.
Most men actually really like women, as far as I know. But look, she's very easy to make fun of. But I think the key thing to remember is this works, A. B, she means it. She's sincere in this. She's so wrapped up into her own narrative. She really believes she is a victim. And C, clearly she thinks she's going to be president. She has a sense of her own destiny. And I think it would be a huge mistake to underestimate someone like this. I think she's very talented. I obviously think she's ludicrous. We mock her mercilessly. It's well-deserved. She's an utter fraud. She's not a populist or a voice of the oppressed. Of course not. She's a tool of the people already in charge. But I also think she has a political future, and conservatives would be very unwise to dismiss her as just a fad. She's more than that. And I think, I think she is going to run for president, and I think at some point she has a pretty good shot of winning. So, I wouldn't blow her off as a minor phenomenon.
But she really doesn't have much of a constituency outside Queens. I don't even think she's ever in Queens.
Right.
And when she tries to endorse a candidate, it doesn't really go too well.
No, but she is a master of social media, and she has the kind of appearance of transparency. I mean, she did this very famous video of herself applying makeup, and I didn't get it at first, and of course made fun of it because it's just narcissism on parade. Watch, as if we're interested in watching her apply makeup. Can you imagine anything more tedious than that? But there is something about that that's very compelling. And again, she believes that she has a destiny, that she is at some point going to ascend to high office. And I've watched a lot of this over 30 years, and the people who wind up winning are the ones who are completely convinced on the most basic level that they're going to be in charge in the end, who really, I hate to say it, who believe in themselves. So as absurd as she is, I see her and I think, wow, this person actually has a shot. And that's terrifying because, she's a ridiculous narcissist with no record of achieving anything, only destroying things.
That's the only negative.
It's bad. It's scary.
Yeah. Right. So she talked about how this country hates women. I agree. I don't feel hated at all. I love living here, as a matter of fact. But when it comes to her being president, she also said, I live in a country that would never let that happen, despite the fact that the vice president is a female, if we're still doing gender. And she's supposed to be a role model and an inspiration for young women. So is this a sort of message that you would think somebody who's supposed to inspire the next generation would deliver?
Well, the message is very common now, which is, I'm oppressed, I'm a victim, give me power. This is a means to power, of course, and that's why you see it everywhere. But at its core, it's a lie. I bet if you were to interview the women in her office and ask them, who treats you better, your boss, who's a woman, or the men you work for? And you see this in offices across the country. If you're really honest about it, hey, men hate women. Really, it's not male bosses who mistreat female employees. Let's stop lying about it. Everybody knows the truth. Women are much tougher on women than men are in the workplace. That's just true. I'm sorry. You're not allowed to say that? I don't care. That's real. And so the idea that she's like an advocate for women, really, in what way? It's absurd.
Right. She also said she could never marry a white guy. She should tell her white boyfriend that. I guess he might have
white. That's the other thing. Oh, I'm an oppressor. I'm an oppressed racial minority. Really? You're named after a conquistador. You know what I mean? Like, in what sense are you an oppressed minority? You're from Westchester. Stop it. Stop it, please.
Yeah.
It's too dumb.
Tucker, you're up early today talking to us. You're working on Fox Nation. You got a brand new 2-part series available now on Fox Nation. It's called Transgressive, The Cult of Confusion. You've brought along a preview clip. How would you like to set up what we're about to see?
Well, I mean, like so many other things, what's being sold as a liberation movement is actually cruelty, and cruelty to children that should be illegal. And we interviewed a bunch of people who've been through the surgeries, which are, basically castration or physical mutilation of the body, and look back with horror and regret. And their voices should be heard. This is wrong what's happening. It should be illegal. And I think this documentary shows it clearly.
All right, let's roll the clip. Watch this.
So historically, gender dysphoria afflicted 0.01% of the population, so roughly 1 in 10,000, and they were overwhelmingly male. The numbers were even smaller when it came to females. I think it was 1 in 30,000. Today, the newest report is that 1 in 20 young women in college are identifying as trans. That is an enormous spike. In the UK, where they have centralized medical care and they can see the numbers more easily, there have been reports of a 4,000% spike in the referrals of young biological women to the National Gender Service for hormones, followed by surgical intervention.
Tucker, in that little clip right there, why are so many identifying now as trans?
Well, because, of course, there's a lot of encouragement to do that. I mean, this is being sold on social media, particularly on TikTok and Instagram and the rest, as a way of personal liberation. And it's a lie. And the rest of us have been told to shut up about it because we're being mean to some oppressed community if we say this. Okay, most Americans don't care. You want to call yourself whatever you want. You want to dress however you want. Most people don't care and don't want to get involved in it. But if they're sending children into irreparable surgeries and castrating them and sterilizing them for life, then we have, I think, a moral obligation to say, no, you're not allowed to do that. That's illegal. We have to ban this. It's one of the worst things that's happened in our lifetimes, and the rest of us have been so intimidated by the screaming of the activists and the highly funded lobbies they have in Washington. We've just sort of let it happen, and we've really been cowed into silence. You can't do this to kids. Sorry, not allowed.
2-part series is available when?
Right now on Fox Nation.
At this moment.
That was
All
a
right.
test
At
and
this
you passed.
moment.
All right.
Thank you, Tucker. Thank you so much for waking up early.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Right. Now you don't have to get GQ because we gave you the whole story about
I'll
AOC.
cancel my subscription.
You might as well. Even though they give you cologne in the middle if you just pull it out.
All right, sit in that chair. You'll be on TV in 11 hours and 6 minutes, okay?
Long day
Thank
for
you,
you.
God.
Like,
All day.
Hard
Thanks,
worker.
Tucker.
Thank you, Tucker.
All right.
See ya.
Now.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.